Push the button.
Yes.
Yeah. What's happening?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So much shit here. I forgot my car. That's all right. I don't need that till later. Hi, Mrs. Ryan.
Hi.
Hello, everybody else. Let's see. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, May 29th, 2019. May 29th, Mrs. Ryan. Holy smokes. My name is Jay Ryan. There we go. Bring this in. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans, and this is It's Tonight's Show. The date rings a bell with me because when I was 20 years ago is when Steve Straley got married.
Whoa!
Denise,
Happy
Straley.
anniversary.
Yeah. Nobody on the show knows who we're talking about, but a personal friend. And then what I also realized was May 31st. Isn't that when we met? Mm-hmm. So that's our anniversary.
It's our Metro Day, yeah.
It'll be Friday, I guess. Breakfast Club Day.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Well, with that, our guest this evening is Joel Madison. He's a writer, comedian, producer, actor, really all of the things.
All of the things.
But most importantly, huge porschephile. Going to talk cars. He wanted to make sure I let you know that right up front. This is a very astute viewer, somebody who actually watches the show, and said, can we at least put in the thing at the top, Porsche lover, Porsche talk something Porsche, because he also noticed that the car shows tend to get more viewership. So,
Thanks for watching, guys.
Indeed, Porschephile, Porsche talk. It's Porsche Day. She's laughing in the other room. So great. Mrs. Ryan, I don't have all that much to get through today.
Okay.
I just have, we're not going to be here tomorrow. We're here. Today's Wednesday, as I said. We're not going to do the Thursday show, so it's Wednesday. We have a WBW. No, our TBT. We're not doing our TBT this week.
Right.
But here's what it would be. Roll it how? If only knew which one it should be. That's where it comes in. Well, let's give it a whirl. Let's just see if this is it. Roll it out. Mrs. Ryan. We are here at the Sierra Madre collection for their open house. A little bit loud. We're having a good time. Oh, look who just showed up. Alrighty then. It's a party. The pre-breakfast club. Pre-breakfast club. Pre-breakfast club. Yeah, it's getting a little crazy. We've got to duck out. We might even come back later because it's really fun. And we got here to kind of avoid the commotion, which is out front where all the cars are. So we'll
That was such a fun day.
You remember that?
Yes, with the video, of course. But it was such a fun day.
Yeah. Huge thanks to the Sierra Madre collection and our good friend Eric Williams and everything. All the people in that video, obviously, too. Derek Whitaker and Stupid Car back the old days. And Guards Rad, David, everything. So
yeah,
fun.
everyone
So
came
fun.
out when they moved. It was a really cool way to show support.
Yeah, and we couldn't go to that same event this year because we had something else, and I can't remember what it was. I think we were doing a show of some sort. I just can't remember if it was like Porsche Open House or something.
Oh.
Such a good event. They do such a nice job in that new location. Having everything under one roof is
Yeah.
nice, too. But the car collection now, because they do car storage, so like everything's really nice. Really nice. And hello to Eric. We miss you, buddy. Miss you
you
so
a
much.
lot.
And Barry at that point. Eric and Barry, Sounds like a Eric and Barry. What am I thinking? It almost sounds like a real estate or Jacobian Myers or something. Anyway, Mrs. Ryan, all I have now is to ask you what is going on.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
It's the question that's on everyone's mind.
You can send your name to Mars officially.
You can send your name to Mark.
Yeah, you could. It sounds totally hokey, but in a bunch of years when we're talking about it again, it could be like when your school class named the Challenger or whatever.
Yeah, do people, I don't know. To me, that's a thing. I don't know if anybody actually remembers that. Back in the day when the space shuttle program was happening, they were building a new one in the 80s, and they put out a call to all of the schools to name the new space shuttle.
Yep.
And so, of course, everyone puts their thing, I think, whatever, that you wouldn't live down. Anyway, our school chose Endeavour. And once that was actually revealed that was the NASA choice as well, there were only like 10 schools that had done, or 8 schools or something that had done it. So it was actually kind of cool. We did feel like we were one of the ones. You were part of it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what this Mars thing sounds like. It's going to be on a chip on a rover. All the names are going to be like etched into a chip on the rover that's up there doing all of its research. So
that's neat.
Maybe your kids might like it.
Maybe.
You never know. A reminder just to be present everywhere. Last year, travelers lost almost $1 million by putting cash and change when they travel into those gray, like circular, like pocket collector things. They just left money there.
What are we
Travelers.
I don't understand. What's a gray circular pocket thing?
The smaller, like when you put your bag through the security thing.
Oh, 'cause in security, absolutely. I understand with the wallet and watch keys,
yes.
Little tray. Sure.
Right, and people just leave money.
Wow.
I know.
How much?
Almost $1 million last year alone.
Is this across all of the NTSB, or is this at one airport?
It's across the whole country, but 10 airports are top. Like LAX being one of them and JFK being the first.
That makes sense.
So just, pay attention to your money. Alex Trebek, I know we just were talking about.
If I may, I would love to have the research on that last story, just because I would almost bet $1 million just isn't that much money these days, especially when you consider the amount of people that travel. I almost wonder if that's solely loose change. You know what I mean? People, you're emptying your things in there, and then you just grab the wallet and the keys, and you leave the nickels.
Totally
and pennies
possible.
And whatever.
I'll get some details for you.
It's pretty cool.
Alex Trebek, I know we were talking about him earlier with our guest. He says he's in near remission from pancreatic cancer.
It's outstanding.
Which is crazy awesome. And I'll just pass on his message that he thanks his fans for being positive
the
support and the prayers that he knows there. And he told his doctors, he's like, it's not just my chemo. There's more to it. So thanks for everyone that's thinking positive things.
Bravo to you. It's kind of an amazing thing. I remember when you were first sick, and it is what it is when you're dealing with it. But once you go public, and that's the hardest fucking thing for you. It was, and certainly I remember all that anyway. It was not great. It's embarrassing for all the reasons. For whatever reason you don't want to. There's so many. But when you finally do. You're not in it alone together. It's not as scary. Everything becomes better. The energy, the fact that other people are pulling for you, not only are they actually doing it, but you feel that. You feel it.
You can feel it.
Us as a couple, as an entity that is a couple, I could feel it once you went public with what you were actually struggling with.
Wow. That's neat to hear.
From all of our people, from all of you and all of the people we know in the world. It's wonderful.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, good job, Alex Trebek. I think you're healing yourself as well there, mister.
I think so, too, and I love that he's talking about it. And then lastly, Toy Story is a movie that I like. I don't love it. I'm not obsessed with it, but I like watching it. But I read
in those movies.
The messages are incredible. And the first one was in 95, so
Yep.
I should rewatch that again. I think that was probably the best one. But the news that I found out about this morning is that the directors and the filmmakers made it possible that Don Rickles could still be in the fourth one that's coming out this summer by piecing together old footage and stuff.
So sort of like they did with Paul Newman in Cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they went through everything from like promotional
Or Nancy
things.
Marchand on Sopranos. Remember
Yeah,
back
yeah,
in the
yeah.
day.
So they're gonna animate Mr.
Mr.
Potato Head.
Yeah,
So
great
they're
character.
gonna animate it in and use his voice from all the stuff they cut, and there was like an Ice Capades thing, and like every promotional thing.
I'd rather it really be his voice than, somebody else doing the character.
Yeah, totally. They're keeping it as close as they can. So
I don't know that we need another Toy Story, but being that that's already happening, I'm happy to have the real Don Rickles.
agreed.
Oh, and that's been What's Going On?
Yay!
Good job, Mrs. Ryan. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it today.
Time to take a quick break. Get our guest Joel Madison in here, Porsche expert, Porsche guy. I think he might work for Porsche. I'm not sure. I know there's involvement with Porsche. I know he's owned a Porsche, and he loves everything about Porsche. And we're going to talk Porsche in just a few minutes with comedian, writer, actor, producer Joel Madison. He'll be sitting in that chair in just a few minutes. More to come right after this.
Yeah, this is cool, man. Awesome.
Oh, good.
I know. David Letterman's people made good chairs, didn't they?
This is really comfy. Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
All right, we're sitting here with Joel Madison. How are you,
Hello.
man?
I'm doing good, Jay.
Thanks for
Nicole,
visiting with
nice
us.
to see you.
Good to see you too.
I feel I know you guys. I've watched many shows.
That means a lot to me.
So much.
Just because this whole thing is new to us, as you know. So anybody watching is nice, let alone somebody that you respect from the industry.
Thanks. You've had so many people I know on. I wanted to hear them blather with you. So the best I could. And all of
who
you
have
know.
you known?
Well, let's see. Kathy Ladman,
Oh, gosh.
Love
Richard
her.
Chasler,
So great. They're great.
Mark Brazil, Kevin Rooney.
Oh, my gosh.
There's a few others.
All of our
but-
favorite comedy guests.
Yeah.
You know
Tons of
everyone.
them.
But
Yeah.
you're a Porsche
Sue
expert,
Kalinsky.
as I understand.
Well, that's what we're here today for.
That's what we're here to talk
Yeah,
about.
thank you. You laid it in a little thick, but, you know.
Oh, I thought that was how it's supposed to be done.
No. 911, by the way. I don't want to cause any trouble, but not a 944 or 28. Whatever.
My first one, I was a kid. Do you know that I had a Porsche when I was a kid? Too?
No.
My dad died
What
when I was
kind?
18, and it was a 944 turbo because that was what I
Seriously?
could afford. Yeah.
Well, of course,
I was
that's
driving
why-
the 911,
yes.
993s at the dealership.
Listen, I'm not a hater. I'm just saying, and if you're a kid, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was 19, 18,
Okay,
19, something
all right.
like
I'm
that.
talking about an adult going through a midlife crisis back in the day that buys a 944. That's wrong.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Well, it's Boxster today, right?
Yes,
That's
I
what-
didn't. I'm not going to say it out loud. It's okay for you to. But
Is it? I'm asking.
I don't.
was
Okay,
asking
all right.
the guest. I was asking
I
a
don't want to
Porsche
start
expert.
a war because every place I've realized, Jay and Nicole, if you look at, there's some sort of fraction and divisiveness.
Oh, yeah.
Always, I'm on this Facebook thing. What?
Is it you Facebook? Are you talking about Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook.
I'm on this
it's,
Facebook thing.
I'm on this Facebook deal. I know. No, the group is the deal, and it's
Oh, I
what the F's for dinner. And even people are divisive and splitting from that. There was a post the other day. People were mad about people having their beef too well done, and it's just
Oh,
like,
my.
well,
It's not up to you.
no, it's like, and the well done people are not looking at the other people and going, you can't do it your way. And it's I call it the Eagles. There's a like paradigm
Oh.
and it's the San Francisco paradigm too. So the Eagles paradigm states that you can like the Eagles, right? If you like the Eagles, you like the Eagles.
The band The Eagles.
The band The Eagles, yeah, and it's
Hotel
Eagles. I've been corrected, Eagles. But like, there's so many people that hate the Eagles, and they hate people that like the Eagles, but yet they're really mad because the people that like the Eagles don't really care one way or another that you don't like the Eagles.
This is so interesting to me. I didn't
And it's the
even know there
same with
was a
San
dichotomy
Francisco.
with this.
If you have listeners up there that drive Porsches,
Sure. Half
San
of you.
Francisco people hate L.A. people. How can you live there? And they don't live here, never live here, and they're really mad. And then they're really mad because we never think of them one way or another. The people that live here. Am I right? Do you ever think, how
don't
could
know.
that city is filled with stuff?
I
How
don't
could
know.
that
I
be?
think that one
All right.
might be dated just because I've never heard a good thing for the past 10 years about living in San Francisco. Everyone talks about
Yeah,
how horrible
but
it
you,
is.
That's
yeah, but you
But
still
there was
go
a
up there.
time when it was paradise, and it was
Truly.
like you could just go out there and
Yeah.
chill out and get a
It was the
hotel cheap
best.
and the whole bit.
Yeah. Now
it was an
it's a bit
escape.
crazy. Yeah. Well, I have my brother-in-law there, and he's constantly, how do you live in L.A.?
Mm.
I don't know.
Maybe your brother-in-law's kind of a dick.
No, he's not, though. He's like a
Oh,
super
okay.
nice guy. That's the funny thing.
Then tell him mind his own business.
I know. Well, it's really his friends.
All
All right,
well,
Porsches
I would
all
like
right.
to talk Porsche because
Yeah.
you used to have a Porsche. What did you
I
have?
did. I had a 91 911
Oh,
gray
God.
convertible.
It's a great car. 964.
I was the third owner. It was awesome. It was I got turned on to Porsches early when I was in San Diego. Before I was American muscle car guy.
Right.
I had a 68 Camaro SS. I shouldn't have had it in high school.
Seriously, that's what you had in high school?
Yeah, because my
so
father
we do
passed
have-
away
Get out, really?
when I was in high school. Yeah. Don't really talk about it too much. But it's not a thing. So
Me too'd me. You hashtag me too'd me.
Really?
But that's what happened to me. I mean, that was my
Oh.
story I just told. My dad died.
I know.
bought this car.
I figuratively hashtag. I thought I did it. Did I do that on Facebook? Did you mention something? And I did that? No. Okay. Figuratively.
Yes, sorry.
Yes, I did. I did. That's okay, right?
How
That's
old was your dad when? How old were you? when
my
your
dad was
died?
50. I was 15.
56 and 18 for me,
Okay.
respectively.
Very similar.
Respectively.
Yes. So so you had that car because your money. So I leveraged my mom, who was going a little nutty, that this was the good car for me to have, a 68 Camaro that was supposedly a Yanko Camaro. Do you know about those?
No.
450, kind of like a Cobra Mustang. It was
dude
a
it up.
Yanko Camaro. It was 450. These people that owned it were race car people. They took the 450. This is allegedly. The 450, they put it in something else. They put it in an SS Chevelle, because they wanted that engine, and then they put a 350 in this. And it's like, why did they destroy it? This is after, as a kid, I
Sure.
go, oh, that makes perfect sense. So it had a 350, headers, big Krager mags, L60s on the back. It was like, it went this way really fast.
Yeah.
Right? And so we didn't know that you should turn, too, when we were kids with American Muscle. And then it was in San Diego. A buddy of mine had that 62 Porsche 911. Is that possible? 3? It was what was the thing? That was,
356.
okay. All right. So he had that, and it was crazy. He was about 15 years old, had a lot of miles, but it drove nice, man.
Yeah.
I'm going, okay, I get
Even
it.
to this day, believe it or not, those
Those-
old 50s cars, or the 60s in this case, they still actually are quite comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, man. And
Especially
we would,
passengering. I mean, it's a lot of work to drive them, but
Yeah,
just
yeah, no, he
riding down
fought
the
it,
road
and
in
it-
them, they're
and it
so
was
much
I
more
love
comfortable
lot
than
of
a modern
mechanics.
car.
Yeah. And this was, so I was selling stereos in San Diego, so we had some dough, whatever. One of the guys had an older Ferrari, and that was always being fixed. Never even got a ride in that in a year and a half that I knew that guy. But it was cool looking. But this guy's Porsche, man, it ran, and he fixed
Every
it
time.
himself. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to check that. And then, so
So,
later.
but you did the math. You checked that, like, these are both really cool, but this one drives.
yeah,
I don't have to fucking
this one,
maintain the shit
you can
out of
get
it.
in, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then later in life, I always wanted a Porsche because of that, and it was when I go, okay, I need. It can't be my first driver, especially in L.A., my daily, because I was so worried about people are going to go, oh, that guy's got a Porsche, I'm going to key it.
Yeah.
Right. So just wanted to drive it a little bit, so it was my second driver, and then
That's
I had
worse,
it.
by the way.
What's that?
That's worse to the people who would key your car. That's
Yeah.
worse. There's
To have
a
a second
fundamental
car?
misunderstanding about how how you piss somebody off with your Porsche,
Yeah.
and all the people who do it have no idea they're doing it.
I didn't follow that exactly. So the people, the keyer.
Here's my opinion: leave
Okay.
your windows down.
Yeah.
And
the top down.
and whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
And but not because you're a dick. Like our car hasn't been washed in 2 years.
Oh, nice.
But in the
Right.
weirdest way, there's this
Yeah.
awesome patina on it. You've seen it, the yellow car.
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
stuff. And the windows are always down on it.
Okay, 'cause,
always,
like-
even if it's parked at Ralph's or at the bank
Yeah.
or something. And people, all they do is give me thumbs up, smiles.
Oh, that's
tell
nice.
us how. Oh man, cool.
So
You're
it was
doing
my
it right,
perception.
man. You're doing it right,
It was
man.
my perception of what might happen, and I was worried, and so that was wrong. of
No, I
me.
think that would have happened. I think
For
what
me.
you were doing. No, I think what you
Yeah.
were doing. That car all
Yeah.
polished up, shined up
Yeah.
at the time. Yeah, you would have.
Yeah, people, and they,
People are jealous. They're just pissed off.
I know. Rooney told the story about his old Studebaker. People would go thumbs up, and Leno would drive by in this hot Ferrari, and they go, "Ah, you asshole." Yeah, because there's that,
And you
yeah.
just said that people like Rooney more than Leno, right? That's what you said.
I did. I don't know Leno, so I like Rooney more than Leno. I know him a little bit. But so I finally bought the Porsche, and I kept it for 4 or 5 years. I think 5 years, and then I in that time I got married. I hooked a woman by having that Porsche. One of our first days as we drove up to Santa Barbara together, just for the lunch. Let's drive up the coast.
Look at you.
Right?
Wow.
Exactly.
In the convertible 911.
Exactly. Yeah. So and that was the second wife. So
You learned.
yeah, I learned I got to get a Porsche. That's what I learned. And so we drove up there. Fun time. And then, the kids come along and it's like, nah, I'm not driving it that much.
Oh.
It was sitting in the garage like a lot.
Well, yeah, if you don't have time to drive it, it's not the car you keep in the garage like the Ferrari.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
isn't.
No.
They aren't those cars.
Yeah.
You need
It
to
was a
kind of be
driver.
driven.
It was, and I really liked it a lot. It drove great. And now I'm jonesing a little bit. Just in life, we were talking in life and things, and I would get a 95.
That's
911.
Yeah, that's
what
what
I
got
would
me
get.
into them. That was
Yeah.
the year I graduated high school. That was the year all that stuff
Oh,
was going on.
yeah,
And I started
yeah.
test driving in 96
That's a beautiful
is when
one.
I bought that 944.
I think that's a great, where they were kind of old and funky or whatever, and then too modern. Like after that seems a little too modern
Yeah.
for me. Like
I
a new one
understand.
seemed too modern.
Yeah.
I love 95.
Oh, man, I'm on board
Yeah.
with you. You
All
can
right.
have that same one up to 98 once you're looking.
Oh,
The
okay.
95 up to 98.
See, I don't know that
still
much.
the same.
I don't know that
Still the
much.
same.
And even when I was in the,
I mean, of that body style.
yeah,
that
that's the
shape and
one with
everything.
the bar. And I wouldn't get a convertible this time.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
I had a convertible. I get it. Top never down, because it's always too sunny, and I had to get those things burned off my head
it's such a
constantly. I go in, the guy says, "What do you have, a convertible, don't you?" I go, "Yeah." How could you tell? Well, it's all up here.
Yeah.
And things and zap you.
Laser.
Laser. Yeah.
All right, well, you're dancing around it. What is your current car?
All right. So I'll preface it with this: I've had really nice cars, and I've had shit boxes.
Sure. There's no there is no judgment.
I've had new cars and old cars.
Yeah.
I've never had a new car that I ran down to shit box. I've never owned it long.
Right.
So that's part of it. And I bought it when it was still had some cred. I got a Prius.
Oh, okay.
2006 Prius.
Yeah.
But right at the moment, you could get away with buying that or a BMW, and it had the same cred if you were a writer, producer.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to spend money on a car anymore.
No, I remember the time
Yeah.
you're talking about. It was
Yeah.
it was the big thing to do. But you can use the same door that you came in.
I know. But I did get new
Prius
seat covers.
is not the biggest thing in
The
the
Prius.
car industry. I did that only because those Top Gear
I
guys.
know it, man. It's shameful, but I wear the shame with pride.
Is it the original Prius?
No,
not the
this
notchback one.
No,
this is when it got angular.
Yeah. This is version 3, I think, actually. It's either generation 2 or 3.
It's 10 years old.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. So I think that there is a cool factor built into that. The fact that you
110,000 miles.
have
Hey.
a Prius that's,
Well,
in that
now,
shape.
yeah. I mean, it's.
Have you had to do like the batteries and stuff? That's what they always talk about. You do.
10,000 and 200 miles. The expensive battery went out, and it has the 10,000 mile warranty.
I mean, is that fucking?
That's pretty priceless.
Yeah, no, and
That's not.
the catalytic converter got stolen a few years ago. That's a pricey deal, although insurance covers it because it's thievery. But it's
Yeah.
still like then they don't like you, the insurance companies.
That's true too, but it should
Yeah.
still be under that, like a broken glass, like a comprehensive.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay. All right.
And so I've done those two things, and it's like, damn it, I'm keeping this till it falls apart. And then if somebody told me that in a Prius, because of all the precious metals and stuff and the things that are in there, you really don't get the true advantage of savings until after 100,000. So after 100,000, you're actually doing a good deed for the planet.
Oh, that's interesting.
Before that, you're just a regular,
You're just a dick.
But that's
but with good gas mileage. But I
That's
still have a
something that
lead foot
a lot of
with the
people-
Prius. I don't get the 42, 45 miles per gallon
No.
people talk about. 38 on a good day.
a lot of people don't really realize that the Prius and vehicles like it, because of everything you just mentioned, have generally a far higher carbon footprint than, say, a Chevy Suburban or something like that.
Yeah.
Because of what it takes to make those batteries.
Oh
and all
yeah,
of the
because of
materials
all
and
the
everything.
precious metal and and all
So
that stuff. Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
all, hey, you can have
Yeah.
this car, but you must keep it for 10 years. There is no other option. You can't replace
Fine.
it after 3.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden we're doing something. But with
Yeah.
this lease mentality of just
Oh, I know. You
every
just
2
turn them
years
in
is
2
a new
years.
car,
Yeah.
we're not doing shit. But it's worse. In my
Yeah,
I
it
think
kind of
it's
is.
worse.
And now people. So now and then, what was horrible is then when that Tesla came out, all of a sudden the Prius was really second-class citizen. Because
yeah, the nice electric car. came
yeah,
out.
yeah, and those are insanely nice. I was in one. It's like, oh man, it's like a rocket ship.
Can you deal with all of the electronic gadgetry?
No, I don't think
can't
I
either.
can. I think I would be watching that the whole time.
For me, it's the
Yeah.
screens. It's too many screens.
Too many screens,
in
yeah.
the car.
Too many things.
Yeah.
Too
What's
much
happening?
distraction. Yeah.
There's lots of different, I find, and whatever, but like different colors and different brightnesses.
Yeah.
And different, like, what are you looking at? And, like,
Well, I asked a guy because I
Times
was
Square in the cockpit is how it feels like. to me.
totally, and he
Yeah.
said, "Oh, that doesn't bother me because I put it on the self-pilot half the time." I'm going, "Oh my God,
He's
you're
not
crazy,
alone. That's probably most people.
crazy."
oh, that's
Oh man,
awful to hear.
Oh man.
right? And so I was talking to the guy that I mentioned, Martin Franks, and he was saying he's an Uber
Shout
driver.
out to Martin Franks. He's a
Shout
viewer
out.
of the show.
Yeah. He was saying, like, so, because he drives Uber, and he was saying that, so he read an article about the self-driving cars, and he said what he does sometimes is just close his eyes and takes his hands off the wheel to simulate it, to see how it's going to work. He says, he doesn't think it's going to work, because it's like, it goes all over the place. It's like, it's hard to explain exactly. That's not
I
the
think
deal.
LA is probably not the best place for
It's
it.
terrible.
too.
Driving
Yeah.
in LA
Yeah.
is terrible.
But places where there are roads that go long distances before stopping, I think it's probably
Yeah,
a
or
really
like
good
you
thing.
driving up the 5,
Right.
you know, heading
hours.
north forever, like near Fresno, perfect.
Oh
Take
yeah,
a nap,
through
take a
the
snoozer.
nut fields and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And those are the crops you're talking about, not the people.
Sorry, yes.
All right, just to be.
It was actually on the way to. I couldn't think of the term slaughterhouse. It's on the way to the slaughterhouse.
Oh, that's
all those nut
is that
farms and everything.
King's?
I don't know, but it's
King
the
City, I
worst
think.
smell I've ever had.
Yeah,
in my
it's
life
really
when you drive
bad.
through there.
I always
really
20 miles,
confuse
it's the
whether
worst.
the
Yeah.
almonds come first or that. And I-
That's right. We always think it's
Such
going
a
to be the
nightmare.
almonds.
Oh
and we
yeah, and then not
I'm like,
almonds.
oh, I've been breathing in really
Can't they
deep.
put like the garlic and then the strawberries like pass through like to have an
get
experience?
some sort of filter.
Yeah, something. Oh man.
Well, can you tell us what happened to you last night since you just brought in Martin Franks?
Oh yeah. Okay. So
Because you had some weird.
I was watching your shows, and Nyla was on one of your shows. She was fascinating. She's a casting person.
Nala Durrani, yeah?
Yeah, and she does fire eating. She said she's taking classes, which is like awesome. And then so a buddy of mine, Martin Franks,
She's
begs
the
me to come.
AGT girl, though, right? She
Yeah.
does casting for
Yeah,
AGT.
yeah. So
awesome.
it was a fun interview too. She had a lot of fun stuff, and she said, "Please shout out to me." So, okay. So I get to Flappers. Martin Franks begs me to come watch him at Flappers. I go
Oh,
there.
I see. So Martin Franks was going up last night at
Yeah.
Flappers, and you were going to see your friend Martin Franks.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And then I see
now
Nyla
I'm starting to see
sitting
the
there.
serendipity here.
So I see Nyla sitting there, and my buddy Barry had also seen the show, and he said, "Hey, that's the woman from the show, isn't it?" I go,
So
"Oh my God,
funny.
that is." So because I made him watch a few, because I said I'm going to be on the show, I got to do some homework, and you're helping
Barry's
me.
last name.
Barry Tracton.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we're watching it, and he goes, "Oh my God, that's her." And I go, "Oh yeah, all right, I'll talk to her after. That's weird. I wonder if this is an AGT thing,
Right.
and I didn't know it
'Cause
was."
it's a
And so
big
he's on.
thing, yeah? You said
There was
something like
20
80
comic. I lied.
Ah.
20 or 30. There was a
Still
lot.
a lot.
But
All
it's like a
doing 2
showcase
minutes.
for AGT.
Showcase, yeah. So he was
Wow.
on towards the late thing, and so we watched him, and then she's there, and then after the show, I said, "This is so weird. That woman was on the show that I'm going to be on Wednesday." He goes, "You're kidding me. I love that show.
Ah!
I've seen it, and
Wow.
I'm a fan, and I've commented." I go, "That's too weird because this is too serendipitous."
He is. He
Yeah.
comments frequently. That's
Yeah,
the only
he
reason
has
I knew the
two-
name, because I don't know the guy personally.
Yeah, well, I'll bring him next time. Or you
Please.
could, he
I
should
hope
be
so.
on his own because he's an Uber driver. He's
Almost
had
on
a mating
AGT.
life. Yeah, he's going to be on AGT coming up. He had a 91 911 convertible as well. This is a weird thing we have in common. And then, but he had it in 91.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. When
yeah.
it was new and fancy.
It was new and fancy, red convertible. And I asked him about it because I don't think he ever had two nickels to rub together at the time. And he said, well, he was he lived at a lady's house, an older lady's house. Back in '91, you can see that he was a good-looking guy back then. I didn't ask any details, and he said that Porsche wasn't technically in his name, but he had full use of it for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Around that time, he had just moved to town from I don't know. He was hitchhiking up and down the coast for a while. Interesting character.
sounds
Anyways,
to me
this
like
is
he got
this
a
is
pretty
my
nice setup
interview.
there.
This is my interview.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so we thought
Who
we
did you
thought
used to live with and drive? What did you used to
a few people, but I didn't have to do the things he apparently had to do. I did drive a Rolls Royce once.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever. I mean, I've been
it's
in
a
them. I don't
truck.
think I've ever
It's a
driven it.
damn truck. It's like I've driven trucks, and this was like it was no fun at all.
But you're being literal, right? Aren't they actually truck chassis?
Yeah, they
That's
are.
why they
I mean,
are so
like,
comfortable.
and everybody's looking at you, and okay, yeah, but No
Are
fun.
they
I would
all
never-
still like those? They're
I'm sure everything's custom 3D cut, printed, whatever design these days. But
You
yeah,
shouldn't
they've always
have
had
a-
a very beefy chassis, like a
Beef.
truck, so that that's
Yeah.
why it has that heavy, solid fit.
And it's-
they're not built to drive; they're built to be driven.
Yeah.
In.
Yes.
You buy
Until
a
you
Bentley
have.
if you want to drive yourself, and
Yeah.
you buy a Rolls Royce if you want to be driven.
that's okay.
That's the Grey Poupon and all that.
Gotcha.
Until you can afford to have a chauffeur, it's not really worth it.
Right.
That's
To
right.
have a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, why would you? You know what
He
I mean?
did. The guy I know did. Can I say his name?
Sure.
Tom Arnold, who's an old friend of mine.
Oh.
He was on some shows and he did a deal.
But I mean, if you preface it with that, quirky's built in.
Yeah.
And
Suddenly
I was
there's
not-
these
a,
choices and these
Yeah.
are all of a sudden are just like,
Right.
yeah, sure.
the
and
grace is way bigger.
Yeah, it's
And
so
he was
not the
bigger
strangest
at the
thing he's ever
time.
done.
He couldn't fit into a Ferrari or something like that in that same price range that would be cool.
But when you gotta spend the 250 G's on the car,
Yeah, yeah. And let me just point out, I was not his chauffeur. We were going to a place. He said, "Do you want to drive my car to see?" I go, "Yeah, man, I'll drive a Rolls Royce. I love cars." Yeah.
what I'm always most fascinated, again, and we'll talk about you at
I
some
would
point.
have.
The moment
I would
you stop-
now.
the
I
moment
would
you
drive
stop
his car
dropping
for
names.
money.
What I was
know.
always
Is that
fascinated
bad?
with about Tom Arnold was his friendship with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, buddies.
I mean, they're still to this day such
Yes.
good buddies.
Tight.
And
Really
that,
good friends.
To me, says so much of both of them.
Yeah.
It does
Because they're
It
both
does.
good guys. I think
Yeah.
they're both extremely misunderstood. In person, they're both
Very
really, really neat.
philanthropic. They do a lot of good work for a lot of stuff.
They're also both really smart, and they come across as idiots.
Well, I'm gonna yes. I guess.
I'm
They
saying
come
they're very
across.
smart. They come
No,
across.
Tom is actually like one of the shows I wrote for was the Jackie Thomas show. It was a very
Get
short-lived
outta
show.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it
know
was-
that show?
Of course I do. It was
Holy
at the
shit.
same time as the what was on ABC, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on after Roseanne.
Oh, what a
Yeah.
weird coincidence.
Yeah. And so that was one of the great shows about a dumb guy. Jackie Thomas was a dumb guy. Tom was great at playing a dumb guy. Two of the writers, me and another guy who wasn't a dumb guy, we knew Tom and we knew his capabilities of being able to say dumb stuff all the time. And that was his wheelhouse. And it was one of the best things, I think, in some ways that he did as far as sitcoms go, not as far as acting, but because he got to play the ultimate dumb guy. And I love dumb guy stuff.
But
I think
what-
dumb guys get to carry the day in
What was-
comedies.
What was the premise? Wasn't he a talk show host or something?
No, he had a sitcom.
He was
So
a sitcom
It was
star,
like
that's right.
Roseanne, except for the male version.
That's
so
right.
so Tom Arnold plays Jackie Thomas, was a meat cutter, sort of like Tom, and he started doing stand up, and he came out to LA and got famous and got a sitcom. So it's the sitcom. He's making way too much money. He has way too much power.
It's the same story. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, kinda.
Did you create that show?
No, a guy
Oh.
named Brad Isaacs, along with Roseanne and Tom, they created that show. Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah,
to
and that
be
was
part
that was one of the
whole-
more fun shows to work on.
Did you ever see it? Do you have any idea what we're talking about?
No.
The thing is, the show itself was good. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't go very long.
It didn't go. There's a couple of reasons
Okay.
that had nothing to do with how.
But the
shows go.
content was good. I really
Yeah,
liked
it was a
the
funny
content.
show. It was a funny show. The first episode, I remember they were all the way through. So Tom had only done a few Roseanne episodes. He wasn't really a trained
Arnie.
actor. As Arnie.
Arnie.
Yeah, it's Arnie. Yeah.
With that, wasn't he originally with Sandra Bernhard? I think,
Yes, that was
when he was introduced.
Yes. Yeah, he was Sandra Bernhardt's boyfriend. He did a fine job, but that was his first acting role. He didn't study theater.
Oh shit!
I didn't
Ever?
know that.
He didn't study theater in
Oh, me
college like
neither.
so many people. He was a meat cutter who started doing stand-up and a big personality and a huge funny guy. So he does this. So they give him his own sitcom, Jackie Thomas. And the idea was we were going to, like, okay, he comes in and he does a few jokes and then he leaves. Like, just deliver the mail, and even though it's his show and all that. And, like, he was the only one that scored on that pilot. So it's like from that forward, oh, we got to write more for Tom. So Tom, like, all of a sudden is actually 50, 60, 70%
That's a
of the
different
show.
show all of a sudden.
Yeah, but which is fine. But it was like they well, you know, you've been around network TV, they tend to oversteer. But it was all good, funny show. And then they wanted to move the time slot. And Tom and Roseanne, this is how I remember it. I think Tom remembers it the same way. Tom and Roseanne put their foot down. If we don't go on after Roseanne, we're not doing the show.
I
So-
have to agree with that though, because the
Yeah.
joke is tied to.
Kinda.
I mean,
Yeah.
once that's established and everything, okay,
Yeah.
fine, then people get it. But I kind of feel like this is a spoof.
Well,
on
it's
this.
sort of
It's
it's
a sister show.
with
It's a
you
brother
there.
show.
It lost too many people.
The momentum of
It lost
like,
too many people.
Same and same.
They too many people tuned out, and they
Well, maybe
so
we should bring that one back.
ooh, we could.
Do it.
Ooh, look at you.
That's exciting.
I love when you get excited.
Let's do it. Martin Mull was in it as a network executive. He was super
There
funny.
was a lot of the same people,
Fred
but
Willard.
they were
Yeah.
all different characters.
Paul Feig
No kidding.
was in it.
He
He
was
played
in
a
it?
writer.
But he was a writer on Roseanne, wasn't he?
No.
No.
He maybe should have been, but no. He came on. He was hired as an actor to play a writer on the Jackie Thomas Show. It was.
Can you tell me what he did before Ghostbusters? Because Paul Feig and I are Facebook friends, and I don't know how that happened.
Wow.
But I've never worked with him.
He's not
and
even
we've
a friend
been
of mine.
Facebook
He was
friends for like 12 years or
You're
something.
kidding me.
Yeah, no. We just
He
had an
was the-
anniversary the
he
other day,
wa-
which is why I knew. It's been at least 10 years.
He was the best man at my second wedding, and I'm not
Seriously?
even. He won't even friend me now on Facebook. It's
Well,
terrible.
then maybe it's not really him.
Oh, could be a fake account
Could
that I've
be.
been trying to get a hold of. No,
But I don't know how I would have gotten. You know what I mean? I'm not the one of the people who just like, hey man, what's up?
Weird. No, he's a good guy. What did he do before Ghostbusters?
Because I know he's so famous from something, and for the life of me, it's escaping me right now.
Well,
Is it,
okay, it's Freaks and Geeks kind of put him on the map. Him and Judd Apatow created
Huge.
that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and so that put him on the map. And then he did Bridesmaids, which was big, which he
that was
threw
huge.
me
That was
apart.
him.
That
Yeah.
was huge.
Under Judd Apatow's
Yeah, you were in
umbrella.
Bridesmaids.
I was in Bridesmaids.
Nice how you worked that in.
Yeah.
I'll cross it off my list.
Good job.
It wasn't actually there.
And then,
Wasn't here.
so then he was able to do other stuff. He's a good guy, a very good director. Yeah.
You worked on Undeclared.
I did work
With
on
Judd.
Undeclared with Judd. Judd brought me in for that.
Were you writing on that?
I was writing. I was a writer-producer. Seth Rogen was a writer-producer on that and an actor. No, I don't think he got a producer credit. So he was a writer and on set, and then it was a bunch of
But
other
Undeclared was
people.
after Freaks and Geeks, right?
Correct.
So that's
It was the
second,
college
okay.
version that didn't go and didn't get the acclaim, and that was the.
But we still love it.
We still love it, but I think I was on another show when Freaks and Geeks came on, and it's just like, it was one of those. Yeah, well, I'm working, so yeah, sorry, I can't be on that show, which got the acclaim and the
Right.
thing and panels. You get to go to panels if you were on that show.
Comic-Con and all that stuff?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't.
Do you
Undeclared, they don't. Yeah, no, you guys stay.
do
where
you
you
like
are.
that Comic-Con? And that almost like you get to go to Comic-Con. You've been to
You
Comic-Con?
know, yeah, I actually the last time I was at Comic-Con was with Paul Feig 100 years ago, probably 20.
It's when
at
you
one
guys
of the
got
early
drunk
ones.
and Facebooked me, right?
Yes.
Totally.
Yes. But I haven't been to one since because it's just too crazy. But if you
Yeah.
go in as a celebrity and get a swag bag, that's a different story than if you just walk in the front door and
Depends
have
on what
to
you have to do
battle
and
the
how long
crowd.
it's been since you've been, because the
It's
celebs
crazy,
have
right?
to battle now.
Oh, no, do they?
You have
No,
to-
I
it's all work.
apologize.
It's too big.
Yeah.
I would say maybe the last 5 years we haven't gone, 4 or 5 years, something like that. But we used to have to go every year for her work.
Oh,
And-
right, in the publicity world, yeah.
And it was nuts, and you could see it getting more nuts every year. And the writing was on the wall for this to not be fun anymore. And it was like the very next year, it was like, this is just straight up work.
Too crazy.
Yeah, it's too
Yeah.
big. It takes over the whole town. And then
Yeah.
if you're talent or if you're
Working.
somebody, a representative of talent who has to get people around, the logistics alone are nuts,
Yeah,
because
that's all-
they
that's
outgrew the
24/7.
convention center.
It's a different
10
kind
years
of
ago.
job,
Yes.
basically.
Well, it's herding cats, right?
Yeah.
Is that the expression? It's
But-
producing at a high level of managing things.
In Nutso play, it's like Saturday Night Live, but the whole town.
Everything's moving. Everything's
And it's almost too much to even understand. But the whole entire Hilton is now convention center.
Oh,
during
like
that week.
all the
of
hotels and the
the
convention
Gaslight
center.
District, all of everything.
Well, you
that
convinced
in
me.
the
Let's
same
go as a
area.
group. Let's do it. This will be
Holy
fun.
shit!
July.
Yeah. Well, a few
Trying to
years.
think, it was nuts.
A few years back, my wife and I were going to go. Well, let's go to San Diego. This was before our kid was born. It's like, and my wife didn't believe in planning. She does now. She understands, but she didn't believe like, oh, you make a reservation. Your thing. You just go find out. And we get down to San Diego. It's
I like your wife.
Comic-Con
No,
and some,
no.
like 3 other giant things. No hotels.
This might have been the last time we went. 'Cause
Yeah,
there was
I remember
it was the
that.
football, the Chargers, and the big horse race.
Yes,
and,
yes.
and
That
Comic-Con all at
opened
the
up-
same time. That was
yeah.
our last. That
No
was the
one
last
could
one.
get trains, hotels, or like around the city. It was
Yeah.
The secret a few years earlier was, you take the train down. There's no fucking drama. You get the VIP car, or whatever. Like we said, great, no
But then
problem.
that was-
And then that happened. Nobody could get in or out of town.
That's the problem. There's too many people in LA. I'm just going to
What do
put
we
that
do
out
about
there.
that?
Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Because they'll like raise taxes, they raise the gas, everything. Nothing.
Yeah, it's
shoos
just a
people
big
Nothing
city.
works.
I was talking to, I'll reference her again, Jennifer, my wife, about how I'm going back to Wisconsin, where I grew up, Madison, in the summer, and I'll visit a bunch
Madison
of my
or
friends.
Madison?
Yeah.
Stage name?
It's weird.
Stage name or just coincidence?
Yeah, it's my middle name.
Okay.
Yeah, which I invented because I didn't have a middle name. So, but I
Was it for the union or? I'm cutting off your story.
That's okay. It's not a good story. Honestly, it was just a reminiscence how we live in a big town, how crazy it is. People in the Midwest go, how do you even function in this big of a town? But, so Madison, when I started doing stand-up, I have a longer last name. It's Botwinick. It's not that insane, but it's...
Sounds like two guys.
It sounds like two guys, exactly.
Not something I bet open mic or host
yeah,
can
they're not going to get it,
jump
and then
out.
it becomes the name guy and the funny name person. It's like, I'm not building an act about my funny name.
Right.
I don't want to do that. So
You gotta get it out of the
Yeah,
equation.
so I started at Madison, and then I was born without a middle name
We
and
are
a small
weirdly
toe.
separated.
Do you have not a middle name?
And I changed my name after my dad died.
Oh, nice.
So I got
Oh,
rid of the
wow.
last name and I
Okay.
swapped. I had a last name and a first name, and it was Ryan J and something else. And
Okay.
I just switched the J Ryan.
Oh, and I
got
said
rid of
my
it.
real name, but you don't have to. It's your show.
Oh, I can't. It was Spanish, Vazquez, V-A-Z-Q-U-E-Z.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do I
Yeah.
look it?
No. Then you become the guy with the,
It
oh,
was
tell
the
me
s-
about
it
your
was the-
name.
It was the
Crazy.
same hump that was always going to be a
Yeah.
hump unless I fucking steamrolled it.
Yeah, so now it's, for me, it's Madison. People, it's just very generic-y kind of thing. But yes, it's
Like
even...
I did protect. You're like, well, I told you mine.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
it
I
didn't
said
go
it. Come on.
unnoticed that I revealed a secret that nobody knows. So it's weird because then my daughter, what name does she use? And my wife uses her maiden name half the time. It's like we have a lot of names in the family. It's just one of those weird things.
That's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot to keep
It's-
track of,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. You just play the cards you're dealt, you know?
What? Just for the sake of it, because I ask everybody, origin stories are kind of interesting to me, and we bounce around a lot. But what the hell got you into comedy? I already see your brain is awesome, and I hope we stay friends after this. But
We will.
All right.
Hey, but I was thinking, is it like open? That's because. Yeah, I know. Origin story.
no. I mean, just for the sake of,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
why?
Okay.
You know
so-
about me. I've been into this stuff.
Yeah, forever. Yeah. So I always liked comedy and doing goofy stuff and getting in trouble for stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I could probably analyze the pathology that
Boundaries,
got me
right?
there.
Pushing boundaries.
Yeah. And just, diffusing situations and whatever. And so I know that I did want to be a comedian when I was really young, but there was not really any opportunity. Like, how do you go from nothing to
What do you do with it?
What do you do with wanting to do stand-up?
Oh, I thought you meant because you were so young. I mean,
Well, yeah, no, that too. Like 4th, 5th grade, I went, wow, that'd be cool. But like, there was no such thing as open mics and things like that. This would be 70s-ish. And so it wasn't until I got to San Diego in the late 70s that there was a scene. And somebody challenged me to do an open mic, and I did. And it went
But you
good
wanted
enough.
to do that. Why did you have to be challenged? Or was
Well,
that the
I had put that
excuse?
away. I didn't even
see.
know.
Enough time has passed.
Yeah, so I'm selling stereos at a place called Dow Sound City in San Diego.
Oh, Dow Sound
really cool
City's
place.
great, yeah.
Do you remember Dow Sound City?
Highline stuff.
Yeah. So no, all right.
I bet I've heard of it. I mean, I have heard of it.
They put ads out a lot. It was this close to being a
Wasn't it-
bait and switch shop.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's like
didn't
it's
they
closed
advertise
now.
in all the back of the magazines and stuff? That's why I know it.
All right. Dow Sound City. And so I didn't know, but somebody said, they came up and they said, hey, look, they got an open mic amateur night at the Comedy Store. You should do it. Because I was
Comedy
goofing
Store
around.
San Diego. Okay.
Yeah, Comedy Store San Diego. So somebody pointed that out. And then, so I went one night to see what it was about. And what they do, they put on amateurs after the professional show. They had 3 professional comics and a bunch of amateurs. And it was one of those things, it's a classic story. I could be as good as the worst guy there. I knew that. I knew that I would not, because I public speak, emceed some things here and there. I was not
Yes.
afraid to stand up and talk. So I did it
That's
the next
really
week.
impressive, though, because that's often the hurdle, right?
Y-
So you didn't
Huge
have that one.
hurdle.
So you're going to go up.
I'm going to go up. And so I knew you should write some jokes, and I wrote some jokes. I kind of had that idea. Well, versus telling
Instinct,
old
man.
jokes.
It's all about the instinct.
I think he just said duh to me in
I
a
thought that
nice
was
way.
great. Outstanding.
So there was a guy that worked at the stereo store with us that was addicted to Quaaludes.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember
Quaaludes.
good old Quaaludes. They
It was
were
the 70s,
heavy
yeah.
downers, yeah. And he always had drool. And so all the people
Was it
from
a Xanax today? Is that the equivalent? Or
yeah,
something
or
like that?
Valium, like
Yeah, okay.
like popping 10 Valium or something like that. Or
Howard Stern talks
Oxy.
about it a lot. It was the thing
Yeah.
back then. Just mellowed you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it mellowed him a little too much, and so he had this big thing at drool, and so everybody from the stereo store came the next week when I was going to do it, and then so this guy's name was Howard. He actually, because he was so fucked up, he took the all focus away. I went on. I did fine. I got some applause. I go, oh, this is kind of fun and cool. And then the next guy after me was eating it for a better. He was eating it.
Hard to follow.
He did. Well, no, he was just bad. I was not hard to follow, and it might have been 3 guys later. But so he was eating it, and Howard starts heckling him. And I was like, oh, this guy's with me, kind of. And the comedian, who was an amateur, did the worst thing he could do. He said, if you can do better, come on up.
Oh, no.
So Howard did. And Howard lasted about 30 seconds, and the crowd started booing him because he had nothing. He just danced around. And they booed him, and the security came on both sides of the stage to get him.
Crow.
And he walked tables out to the back and out. So that's what everybody remembers. That's kind of what I remember of that night.
Your
but
first night.
Yeah, but it did kind of hook me on this was kind of cool and fun. And I started doing
Well, at the very
open
least, it's a
mics.
scene, man.
It's a scene. It's a scene, man. And because it was the amateurs were on after the regular show, the place was packed. So, I mean, it was like
Right.
my first time doing quasi-real stand-up was to a packed hot house. So,
Wow.
and then,
So would they not turn the room? Is that why they would just have their
Oh,
whatever?
anybody?
and
Yeah,
then-
anybody want to stay for the
Just-
amateurs? Stay, and everyone
Cool.
did. I guess it had been going on for a few months, so it built like the buzz. Oh, stick around to see some of these guys.
Plus,
are
if
good,
you're
some
having
of
a
these
good
bad.
time too, you want to
Yeah,
keep it
why-
going.
yeah,
keep
why
it
they-
going.
So I started doing that, and then opportunity arose to move. I had come up to Los Angeles. I'd seen the scene. I went, yeah, I don't have 5 minutes. I can't move to L.A. until I'm ready. I knew that. So
Wow.
I moved to Minneapolis because my mom was living there. I'd lived there before in my adventures, and I'd met Louis Anderson.
Oh, I love
Who
Louis
was
Anderson.
there?
I hope it's a good thing.
He was starting the scene there with a few other guys, and he said, I was on vacation visiting my mom. He said, and I went and saw the comedy. I'd been doing it about 6-8 months, and he goes, if you moved here, you could probably like get on stage on the weekends. He wasn't saying money because there was no money, but I could get more stage time. So I moved there for stage time. Stayed there for about 6-7 years.
Whoa.
Got my act together. Started to make money on the road because that's what was happening. Now we're talking about mid-'80s.
Oh, yeah.
80 to
This
86,
is when
87.
we were obsessed with comedy during this
All right,
time.
so this is the time where I was out on the road doing my thing, and then I moved to L.A., but unlike a lot of guys who moved to L.A. and gals, I was making money on the road. So I'd leave for 3 weeks, make some money, live here for a week, figure out what I was going to do.
It's a different game.
Different
Yeah.
game today. Yeah. And I feel
But you were able to stay established in LA by doing that?
Yeah, yeah.
Because these days it's
Yeah.
like you go out of town and then just like, oh, he's a road comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wasn't. I had right when I had started writing more and figuring out, okay, I'm kind of getting a little burned out of the. As I always like to put it, I like doing stand-up. I didn't really like being a stand-up. I still do stand-up occasionally. I don't like being a stand-up. I really have had to come to terms with that. It's not my thing to live the life of a stand-up. I love doing it. I like being part of it. I like being around it.
But you like being married and coming home to your wife at night too, right?
I like
Uh-oh.
doing stand.
Oh, I see.
No, I do.
Having a life, I guess I should have just said.
Well, it's having a different life than what affords you. It's a scene. It's every night, late night to do it right. It's going out as much as you can to do it right.
Grind.
What's that?
Grind.
It's a grind.
It's a
Yeah,
grind.
it's a grind. And then I don't have an end game to want to do a special or to do a one-man show or to go on the road to make a living. I just want to do it to keep sharp. I like writing. Half of it for me is when I go to some of these open mics, I meet some nice people. I like writing jokes, man. I like fixing jokes. I like writing jokes.
Okay.
I get off on doing that, not sexually, but just as a
Fulfilling.
as a
It's
mind.
fulfilling.
Yeah, and to keep the mind sharp. We talked a
Yeah.
little bit about keeping mind sharp.
Important.
I had a health thing a while ago, and so I'm always worried about my mind being sharp. And what I had was, it is a weird transition, but we're all friends now. I had
Safe place.
What's that? Safe place.
place.
Safe place. Could we pot down for a minute? No. A thing called transient global amnesia, which is
Do you remember enough to
basically-
tell us about it?
Just barely. It's Memento. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
All out of,
transient
sequence.
global amnesia, you lose your short-term memory for a day. So all day long
Do you
you
get to
have no
choose
short-
the day?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, because if you could
It
plan
just
it out.
happens. I know. There's
Good
a lot
grief.
of. Well, I think if more people knew that, they would use that for legal excuses
Yeah, that's
for
right.
crimes and things like that, or at least like if they're cheating or something.
But so essentially, you would lose blocks of time.
No, you would. The clock would reset every 10 minutes. So I knew who
Hi,
I
I'm
was.
Tom.
Yeah.
From the movie,
Yeah. Every 10 minutes.
50 First Dates.
Yeah.
No
That's it.
short-term memory.
No short-term memory. That is, it's based on this transient global amnesia. But at the
Wow.
end of the day, It usually lasts about 24 hours, and at the end of the day, you don't have any memory of the day, but you're back regular.
You're back to normal.
You're
You
back
just
to normal.
missed-
Yeah.
Wow.
But that day did not get recorded. It's not on the mental record.
No, I have no idea. I remember being in the hospital. This is what I remember. Being in the hospital, or I kind of talk about it in terms of like, this is when I woke up.
Okay.
So the first memory I have is looking at my wife, and she is yelling at me to look at the goddamn piece of paper. She's really mad. Like, I'm kind of still trying to figure out why I'm in the hospital. Like, what happened? What happened? Look at the goddamn piece of paper. And her mom is there, too. It's like, oh, this is really weird. So I look at the paper. It says, you're in the hospital. You did not have a stroke. You did not have a car wreck. Your daughter's fine. She's with so-and-so right now. You are here because no one knows what happened. Your memory is screwed up.
Was she frustrated because you'd done this a handful of times already?
She said about 60 or 70 or 80 times.
Yeah.
She was really mad.
But to you, it's the first time.
Yeah,
so
every
you're like,
time.
why are you? It's just
Yeah.
like the movie.
Yeah, I go, oh, this is what happened. So now it's kicking in, and I said to her, I think I'm okay now. It's kicking in. Yeah. my memory.
Wow.
That's
That was really weird.
impressive.
So now I'm always like a little cognizant about that kind of thing.
We've had small things like that just because, there's just always a lot going on when you have to deal with something like MS or anything really.
Yeah.
So that just went away
Memories
after
are
that
weird.
time.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's,
are there any ideas as to what could have influenced?
They don't know.
I mean,
they don't know.
A diet, being around a fucking noxious gas, a certain chemical.
They don't
anything.
know. You get the diagnosis by elimination. It's not a stroke. It's not a hemorrhage. It's not all this other
It's
stuff.
everything else.
This is so that's how they diagnose it. It's like 1 out of 100, 200,000 people, and then it's another 1 to 100 million or whatever to get it again. But I
Wow.
have run into people that have had it, that have gone through it.
I would imagine having ever had it at once or at all, there's a trauma, right? So you're like, this could happen.
I'm
again,
waiting.
This could happen again.
Yeah.
So that's why you're saying you're always looking at it.
Well, yeah. I'm always looking at it, and I'm always checking myself.
Yeah.
This is
I'm
the
glad we're
same
recording all
10
of this.
minutes or different.
I'm glad we're
I get
recording
it.
all this so
I
you
do.
can have it forever.
I take a lot of notes for that very reason.
Yeah, I
of,
had
like,
to take a
I
lot of
might
notes
not
because
remember those
why,
things.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do. I create more problems because I always remember, and then I have too much memory.
Too much in there. It's hard, it's the hard drive. You only have so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I keep thinking we're going to go to commercial for some reason.
No, I want to ask
Yeah.
you about your 15 minutes of fame, though.
Okay.
Because of how it leads up, and then I have a question after that. So tell us what you mean by your 15 minutes of fame.
All right. So I think if you add up all the screen time I've ever had as an actor, being on about, I don't know, maybe a half a dozen shows or so, and I've only gotten them. I've never been cast. It's only because I worked on the show.
Right.
Or I
Same
knew
here.
somebody that I got on screen. It's about 15 minutes worth of screen time, ironically. Now, my friend J. Elvis Weinstein, because I asked him, I said, is it
J.
coincidence?
Elvis?
J. Elvis Weinstein. He was
That
a
guy's
writer.
amazing.
He was a writer on Freaks and Geeks. He's one of my best friends. He helped create Mystery Science Theater 3000, right? And he ran America's Funniest Videos for a while. And he worked with me on my show. We've always hired
Saget
each other.
or Bergeron?
In between.
Oh, I didn't
Fugle
know there was.
sang.
Really?
Fugle sang.
I didn't even know that happened.
It was a very short window. And Jay Elvis and I worked together on a desk show. I was going to bring this up. Late Night with Greg Kinnear. Do you remember that moment?
It's called Later with Greg Kinnear.
Later with Greg
and
Kinnear.
I was obsessed with it, of course. We're the only ones who have the desk and chairs the same way they
Yeah.
did. He only
Yeah,
had
yeah,
one
yeah.
chair, but
So I was on the
absolutely.
first season
the
of that.
airplane on the desk and everything.
Yeah. Later with Greg Kinnear.
Right around the corner at and you were right across the hall from, because I checked all this, but Days of Our Lives.
Yes.
When I
Yes.
first moved out here, that was still going, even though Greg wasn't the host, but they kept the
Yeah,
set
they
and they
kept
had
moving.
alternating
Yeah.
hosts and they got rid of the audience. They tried everything.
They tried
It was
everything.
the old the sports guy show, Bob Costas. It was the old Bob Costas
morphed,
show.
Yes, from Bob to Greg Kinnear.
They took Greg
Yeah.
Kinnear from Talk Soup at the time. This I was obsessed with.
You
everything.
know.
They took him from Talk Soup at the time and gave him a network show, which essentially it was what later became Carson Daly. You would know it as the Carson Daly.
It morphed into that.
Wow, that's
You know who
so
else
wild.
followed me? When I left, and I don't even remember what I went to, I was replaced by Mark Brazil. So we crossed
Again,
paths.
crazy small world.
Yeah, and we also knew each other from San Diego. Mark Brazil and I from San Diego stand-up.
Love Mark Brazil. We
I
just saw him
love
last
him.
week.
I love him.
We just had coffee and treats with Mark Brazil and Jodie Foster.
Him and Jodie
the other day.
Foster.
That's how we're telling it. Jodie was next door. Next table.
Nice. Because I'm trying to put that together. It's not unrealistic.
No, well, that's what we all said, but the three of us, all three people from the industry, couldn't stop staring.
Of course. Of course.
Which is, from taxi driver to everything.
Oh, I know. I know. Something like that. Like there are probably a dozen or so people like that for you and me. That it's just too iconic.
And I never thought it would be, but
Yeah.
when she walks by and then sits next to you and you're just listening, and not to what they're saying, but you hear the voice, it's like, holy shit.
That's crazy.
Real quick though, later.
Oh yeah, so I was on later.
Did you start that show?
I came in a few weeks after it, maybe a month after it had been on.
Okay, good. But it was still the beginning. I remember that show, so there's still a tiny audience and
super tiny audience.
They used to have a little band area. It was sort of set up like Saturday Night Live, where there was an interview area and a performance area separated by a hallway with a door with the NBC logo on it.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I don't know what we did there exactly. We wrote pieces sometimes.
You guys put on a way better show than was necessary for that hour, in my opinion. I swear to God. The writing was good, and he was really good. I always thought
very charismatic.
He was good in this role. I heard at the time he didn't want to do it, and he wasn't necessarily enjoying it, and he wanted to go
about
win an
halfway
Oscar
through my run. He did that movie that he got one of
the
them,
Oscar.
And it's like, oh, I gotta do movies now. This is
Which one?
As Good as It Gets.
I think that was it,
yeah.
or something else, something really.
Sabrina could have been too.
Could have been that
Sabrina
one.
first in '95.
Is that it? Okay,
so.
so that would have been the thing that I have to act now. And that's cool. He was on his own road. I left before he did, so that was good.
But he did it. I mean, he went and acted, and he won the goddamn Oscar.
I know.
Didn't he? I mean, so it's kind of like, all right, it's impressive.
It's impressive. You can't take that away from him. And he was a nice guy. He was a nice guy to work with. Generally, he was a pleasant person.
Is that the only desk show you've ever done?
Yeah, I did do AFV, but that was a stand-up thing. He didn't,
Right.
and it's a different. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, that's the only actual desk. Show.
All right. Well, the 15 minutes led up to Fresh Prince.
Well, I was on Fresh Prince. That's my biggest hunk of screen time. I played the most important role of the show, of course, a guest. So the whole episode.
Hey, if it was Will's dad, sometimes the guest was very important.
Right.
On a very special Fresh Prince of
This
Bel-Air.
almost was very special. So they talked about this new. So the sister worked at a show. She worked on.
Oh, Hillary was a newswoman or something.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
Weather woman or something like that.
I don't even remember.
I remember that.
And so there was the new boss or the new. It was a sponsor for the show, and they were very worried. He was coming in he was a tire guy from Ohio or something, and he owned a lot.
Cast.
Yeah, he owned a lot of stuff, and they were worried about the big sponsor coming. So it all led up to in the third act, the sponsor showing up, and Hillary is drunk. On cold medicine because Will gave her too much cold medicine, and Will had to do some weird stuff and run around, and I had this long stretch of monologue. And how I got that gig, really stupid. I had written that little part in the room. We were all writing little segments.
But you were writing on Fresh Prince.
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
time,
No,
right?
I was
I
don't know, supervising producer or some producer title. So I was one of the writers, and what we would do is like the scripts were in such bad shape, we'd take little pieces and write and then put them together for the table read. So I read it at the table, and I killed it because I had written it. I knew the cadence. I knew this person. I had written it in my voice. And I read it at the table, and then, because it was such a disaster, the actual NBC people said, well, have you cast that role yet? And they, well, no. Well, why doesn't he do it? Well, I'll do it. You know.
Yes.
They knew I'd done stand-up and this and that, and so, of course.
They have to Taft-Hartley you?
I was already
You were already
SAG,
okay.
because of my
From somebody else
From
had to
first
do
minute.
it.
Yeah. So me and Paul Feig were audience members in Naked Gun 33 and a Third.
The final in the franchise, right? In the trilogy.
Pete Siegel, the director, was the producer, and I think he directed a few Jackie Thomases. So we knew him, and they needed some audience reaction shots. Just come in for the day, do that kind of stuff, which is what I did in Bridesmaid. And so me and Paul just kind of did triple takes, and that's all he wanted. We came in for the day to help him out as a favor, and so we are in the audience of the last. There's like they go to some award ceremony in 33 and a Third.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I got. Oh, and then I was in Jackie Thomas. I think I was in Roseanne. I'm not sure. And then I was in Freaks and Geeks. I had a few lines in that, and I was in Bridesmaids. But again, it's just that it's not something that I aspire to acting, but I will sneak in there. And I'm a bad actor, and I know it. But so
Well, that's apparently what they're using, yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, Fresh Prince specifically,
yeah.
I don't remember the years of that show or when. Do you remember about when you worked on it?
Well, it was the last season.
Brilliant. This helps perfectly. If I recall, it would have been late 90s, maybe even 99, maybe 98, something like that.
It seems like something 96, 97. We have a device, but we don't need it now. But yes,
I worked
Fresh
on a
Prince.
little show that came and took over that stage from it was stage 11 over at
NBC.
At NBC again on the same lot where Later was.
Oh yeah, because that's
Little soap opera called Sunset Beach.
Oh.
We came and took over your old stage. And,
Did we leave anything?
No, but the stage next door was 9, and that was Saved by the Bell, and they did
Saved by the Bell.
They left their big the Max sign or whatever, it was the name of the thing, and that was
Yeah.
always in that property that kind of lock up in the back behind
In the
those
way
two
back.
stages. Yeah.
Yes.
And
so
that was
we
still
would
there
run
through
into
the
those
entire
guys
time.
Fresh Prince, Saved by the Bell was still around. So
Yep.
Screech and them were running
At
around
least
there.
the college years, I think that they were at the
Yes.
same exact time.
Yeah.
What a weird hallway to be in.
What a weird hallway.
And you know how it is. The two big boxes are the stages, and all of those offices are shared between the two.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're
And it
like,
was like
it's
a
like
U
being
of
roommates.
shares, of offices.
Oh, that's kind of
And
awesome.
that became the Tonight Show later, the final Leno Tonight Show.
Oh, is that where they moved?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that was a nightmare show. I'll be honest. I saw the sunrise many times driving from there back to Studio City.
For Fresh Prince?
Yeah.
Who
many
ran that
times.
show?
Well, it was.
Or was that the issue?
The fellow has since passed away.
But why I'm drawing a blank. Who created? Like whose show
Well,
was it?
the Borowitzes created it, but they left. The last season, you always should scratch your head when you go, well, you're the first guy hired, and there's nobody else, and nobody came back for the final year of
Oh,
writers,
boy.
producers.
It's a
Nobody came back.
Good
It's
way
like-
to look at. A good thing to look at.
And because you've seen this, it's just like, well, you'd think, okay, everyone knew it was the last year. Let's celebrate. Let's bond and celebrate because we love each other. Nobody came back.
That ship done jumped.
Everyone went, oh,
See you
we're
later.
out.
Wow.
And so they hired a whole
Whoa.
bunch of new people. I was the first hire for writing. Well, there was one person that was there that was going to come back. We knew Will's mother-in-law was going to be hired as a writer, and me and another guy were supervising producers or something, or co-execs. They hadn't even hired a showrunner yet, and we came on board and started just doing our thing, just vetting and reading
Wow.
scripts. And then they hired a showrunner. He left after the first episode.
Holy
and
shit. I
Will's
had no
manager
idea.
took over.
No idea.
When I asked this question, I had no
Okay.
idea there was so much drama.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama in the LBC. What can I tell you? Long Beach crew. A lot of drama. I've been on very few shows where there wasn't a. Kevin mentioned it's really funny. I was watching Kevin Rooney's episode, and you mentioned the Kumbaya. You had mentioned, it was a Kumbaya writers' room that you had. It was an analogy of something that you were doing, and he went, "Oh, you mean you all hated each other and you wanted to kill each other?" Because that's more I've not been in a lot of Kumbaya rooms. Am I?
They're
It's
rare.
funny. We talked about that moment and that comment after the show.
So you know what
She
I'm
was
referring
described
to.
Breakfast Club. She was trying
Yeah.
to. Kevin wanted to come up to Breakfast Club, and he had that
Oh.
old vet at the time that he
Yeah.
stored over at Leno's
Yep.
garage and the whole thing. I think they've since sold that car, whatever. They had it
Okay.
redone and the whole bit. So that's off the table. But we were trying to get him to come up. So you as
That's
an
it. That's
enticement
I'm
to go,
referring to
it's
that.
so great. It's just a bunch of creatives. It's like a writer's room. She meant something very specific, but not actually. It's
I was
like a
certainly
writer's
thinking
room.
of memories I had of writers' rooms I've been in or walked by, and clearly now I have a different perspective of like everyone was on their best behavior because I was usually with a
Clearly.
writer
Or with
and a
Chris Rock or
journalist
somebody like
someone
that walking into a room.
So yeah, I have a different understanding of that now, and I probably wouldn't say
but
that.
Kevin is so wonderful, and he's like one of the smartest, fastest guys I know,
Yes.
and he does not mix or mince words, and he just said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
You mean
pretty
everyone wanted to kill each other?
Pretty good and quick.
Yeah, and even in the worst of times, sometimes you get a lot of funny out of those horrible rooms. You just have to be prepared that this is,
Well, misery does breed very good
Yeah.
comedy, almost always.
yeah. it
That,
does.
everything I heard was like, there's
Trauma.
always someone that you have around that you wouldn't pick. And that's just how life works. And I think I was that person a lot. But like,
You
it
need
is
the
what it is.
dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
Some abrasion, something to
Something to
kind
rub
of-
up against.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it lets everyone show who they are by virtue of how they're responding
Well, you
and
do
bumping
find out a
into
lot
stuff.
about people. No other job I have been in where you actually are in a same room for like 10, 15 hours in a constant meeting that sometimes has no leadership. Other jobs,
And
you
sometimes
at
no
least-
outcome.
Right, no,
Yeah.
no front end or back end. True, no product. And other jobs, at least you might come together for a meeting or a moment.
Then you break.
And then you
come
break,
back.
you come back. But yeah, and I will say this to Judd Apatow's writing rooms were the most productive because he would go off and do a thing. He would make assignments. We would do things. It was probably the best leadership.
That sounds very
of-
efficient. for
Extremely
writing,
efficient.
For writing.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
That's really thoughtful that he put so much perspective and awareness into that.
Yeah. Maybe he had some training. Other guys don't.
Maybe he's good.
Yeah, and he learned whatever he learned. A lot of it, obviously, he's a smart guy. Picked up stuff, but working with Gary Shandling.
I was just going to say from the
and
Larry
I don't know how
Sanders
Gary
days.
ran his thing because I never worked there, but I'm imagining there was some sort of amount of an efficiency. But there again,
I don't believe you've never researched this or looked into it.
Oh,
you
how
don't
they
know
operate?
Yeah.
Well, I think he was very much a dictator as far as because he had it all in his head. He had the vision, but I don't know if he. I don't believe he sat in a room.
I agree.
I don't think
for
he's
the overall layout and long story. Yeah, he had.
He was doing his thing. You do your thing. You can get together and write that thing. But yeah, there wasn't the constant insane writer's room, and a lot of that has to do with the head writers who just don't have any confidence. I'm not speaking out of any writer that's not currently working like myself will admit this. If you're working, of course, you would not say anything bad about a showrunner. But a lot of times they don't have any leadership training or management training, so they have this big group of people and they kind of don't know what to do with them.
They're used
other
to
than
doing stuff themselves.
Yeah, just sit there, watch me work, or jump in when you can. But it's not real efficient.
Yeah,
it's different. It's a different process. You're right.
Process. Yeah.
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 we are. I mean, we've certainly gone long enough, but I feel like we didn't
we
really
just
talk
scratch
about
the surface?
anything. Yeah, I know I say that a lot, but I feel like we didn't really get.
Didn't even get into car stereo, where where I like. Here's the thing: I do have a really good car stereo, and I can so some of the hip hop cars come up, right? And not even hip hop, whatever, an F-150, just with the sonic bass, and I'll just hit Journey, right? And I'll just wipe them out. If she could, and then they drive off.
Is this all stuff that you picked up when you used to sell the gear down in San Diego?
Yes. Well, at least I have an idea of what it should sound like, even if I'm not an audiophile. So there's a price point where I go, yeah, that's crazy.
Right.
There's not
What is
return.
that? Is it once we get Martin Logan or BMW? Where are we in the? Is it $10,000 is a lot for a speaker, or $100,000 is a lot for a speaker?
Yeah, I'd say $20,000 is a lot for a speaker. I think you can get some bang for $1,000 or $1,500 a speaker.
I'm totally with you.
If you're not insane, if you don't have that, you didn't get that $1 million bingo prize. $1,500 is like a fine.
I totally agree.
$400, you're not going to get a good speaker. You're going to get screwed.
But the difference between the $2,000 pair and the $10,000 pair is negligible.
Negligible.
Yeah, and the $100,000 pair even smaller.
That's for bragging rights. The guy who created the Fire Festival.
Yeah, right.
They would spend that kind of insane money
just to say
separate
they did.
amps, the tube. Oh, the tube, man!
Yeah.
$20,000 for the amp because it's tubes. You did that because the same person that has to get the Ferrari that doesn't work, right?
That's right.
Or
it's
my
really,
new favorite,
really rare.
My new favorite car. I do that DB11.
Oh, you like that one?
I like the way it looks.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know that one.
New cars. I have so much issue with how much is going on. I find that everything's
agree.
over-designed these days. I'm a creature of mid-century design. I like exactly what you need and nothing more. Comedians are the same way. I mean, you know what I mean? Trim the fat.
Trim the fat.
I'm that way when it comes to design and stuff. So I don't really like much
share,
of the
we
new
share that.
stuff
I like
that's
the
going
aesthetic.
on.
I don't wear watches, but I would like a Rolex.
Really?
I'll be honest. I'd like a simple, smooth bezel, white. I would love that. I told my wife that.
'cause it's
I would
classy.
love that. She was not going to get one for me. She said point blank, don't keep even hinting about that. She says, you don't wear watches.
That's the
Anyways,
well, would you
that's
come
a
back
dream.
sometime, or
Oh,
can we
I would.
figure out some way to work in a regular thing here?
Seriously?
Whether you're
Could I bring Martin Franks with me
contributing
next
or-
time?
Yeah,
He has
absolutely.
all the funny stories, not me.
Absolutely.
All right.
But you know what I'm saying? In a contributing way or something. I want to.
Seriously?
I want to do something with you in some way creatively.
All right. Well, I've listened to enough shows that I know that you're sincere because you don't ask everybody.
It's true. No, I don't.
And no one else would know that because I did listen to a lot of shows. I really liked you guys. Seriously, you had a nice vibe. It was fascinating to me. And now that I have more of the stories, of course, even more fascinating because if there's anything people know, I do the research.
What?
Oh, that was such a good ending. That would fade.
Yeah, we could have. We're not that show. Well, I want to know what. We're way too about ourselves. I want to know what was fascinating about it because we're figuring this out. We don't know what we're doing still.
Well, how many? Okay, so it could be just a podcast,
Could
but
be,
instead it's like this great high production values that you see nowhere. It's sort of meta, but not really meta. I mean, you don't talk about it all the time.
Right.
You legitimately have some guests. Geez, I'm critiquing.
I appreciate it.
And you dive deep. I'm fascinated to see where it's kind of progressed.
Oh yeah, because you said you've seen how
It was,
even
it
the
was,
set is transformed
yeah, it
and
was
stuff.
really lit for a while, and then you.
Well, it was a
you
daytime
were here
show.
for a while. Oh, it was a daytime show.
You know, I
for
mean,
a
we
while.
used to do
Now
it
it's a
was during the
nighttime
day,
show.
and once we
Yeah.
moved it to, once we
See,
got the
this seems
Letterman
like
stuff and
the
everything.
Tom Snyder show, kind of in
Thank
mood.
you.
In
That's
mood.
exactly what we're
Thank
going
you.
for.
Seriously, that's
The
it.
Tomorrow/Late Late Show. Absolutely.
Because that's what I grew up on. I'm fascinated about everything, though. Not to put you down. Okay, I hope you take that as a
The
compliment.
bar's
When
low. I like everything.
when you see something like that I noticed the Porsche thing.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's like that's a big deal. How can you get more of these other people in? And it's just like you put a lot of energy and a lot of time and a lot of love into this.
Yeah.
So that of course fascinates me.
Oh.
And LA people doing stuff fascinate me to some degree.
LA people talk about doing stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Well, just doing stuff here, and it's I don't know. It's all up.
Historically, LA people talk about doing stuff, and we're actually doing stuff. Is that
Well,
what
there's some of that. Yes, there's a lot of that. Yeah.
I'm
And
trying to
we talked
decode. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
Well, there is consistency involved, which you guys have consistency, and I was saying I had a podcast that did 7. I didn't really want to do it. I was talking into doing it, but there again, I
You did
realized
7 episodes?
Yeah, and then I got in a fight with the guy because one of the guests said, "Hey, when it's going to be on?" And I publicly put, "Well, it's a whole rinky-dink deal." And then that guy got really mad. "How dare you say rinky-dink?" Well, it is rinky-dink. This is not rinky-dink.
No,
So-
people are really surprised when they actually
Yeah.
because they don't, like a Chasler or somebody will book them and they don't
Yeah.
really know what they're walking into,
Yeah.
and then they get here and like, what the fuck?
No,
Holy
this
shit.
is pretty wild. So I think too, it's anytime people put out product or do something, it's interesting. That's all. And again, people talk about what they're gonna do, what they might do, and again, who knows where it all goes? You can't predict that. You just do it. Some of it's organic, some of it's spiritual.
Mhm.
You just do it and see where it happens. You put out the opportunities when they come. See what happens.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Let's see. Do you have anything coming up that you want to promote?
Darn it.
It's okay if you don't.
I just finished a class that I was teaching for the Columbia College of Chicago. That's not really something you can get. You have to go to school for 3 years and then come out here. So it's not really something that people can just sign up for. But that was fun.
That's awesome. Are you on the social media?
Yeah. Instagram, please.
Yeah.
Instagram and Facebook. I try to promote, or I try to not to do just cats and calendars. I try to actually put a funny picture once in a while of something.
And lots of Porsche stuff, obviously.
Always.
What's your handle?
Always. Joel Madison. That's it. Joel
I'll
Madison.
put it on the,
Okay. I like social media. I'm on there a couple of times a day. I like seeing everybody. I like posting stuff. I don't know. Again, it's more like I try to do funny photos or, I don't think I have any gigs coming. Oh, there's the Clean Comedy Challenge.
There we go.
In Pasadena.
Okay.
The end of July. I'm not a judge. I'm doing a celebrity thing, which I shouldn't because I'm not really a celebrity. But I'm doing a writer's workshop. This is a Clean Comedy Challenge for young comedians. They sign up. Leslie Norris Townsend does this thing. It's at the Ice House.
Oh,
Young comedians for the most part, but it's like they have a chance to win $1,000.
Great.
So that's
That's
pretty
awesome.
good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice pot.
And so I'm part of it. Bob Zaney, who you've had on,
Love
he's one of
Bob
the
Zaney,
judges.
sure.
Aaron O'Connor's one of the judges. Erica Rhodes is one of the judges. So they have some top people. The guy who owns the Ice House, Bob. Well, of course, I'm spacing on his name.
Bruce Bob SquarePants.
Bruce Bob SquarePants. He's involved. Anyway, so that's the thing. End of July. That's going to be a fun show. A lot of young comics on that. Also, the idea of being clean. When I was first talked to about Leslie Norris, who I met, I'm sorry I'm going long.
No,
she said,
go
could
ahead.
you do a set at the Clean Comedy Challenge at the church? And I said, I can't because I cannot. I've done very well here. If you look back at the tape, I haven't said F a million times.
Right.
Been very good. But I said in stand-up, I have a hard time not saying that constantly because
the audience?
well, we're all adults. We're all adults, and so I don't have a necessarily filter, and I'm not. It's just part of my language.
Comes out of me as an adjective a lot. The F in this, F in that, but
Yeah.
it's never like. So the guy's effing this girl. And,
Right. No, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's just part of that fucking thing.
Different part of colloquial
It's almost a
language.
Yeah. So I told her I try really hard, and I did. I was able to get through like 7 minutes without swearing, because my material is not dirty, but I. you know, that kind of thing. So she said, "Oh, can you be part of this thing?" I'd love to. It's a challenge. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That sounds really fun. It's such a good room too. The ice house.
The ice house is great. Yeah.
We're still trying to figure out what the next thing is for this. We're having talks now, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Whether we're moving it to a studio, stays here. We're trying to figure out how it's going to work.
Right.
But I think that we should all stay in touch for whatever. If there's a way to do something,
I will do it.
you know what I mean?
Better.
I will do it on
Producing,
air.
writing, something. You know.
All right. Because
I
I
would
did a
love
desk
that.
show.
Being I know all about it. But even corresponding or something like that. If you're
And
out in
Brazil
thing
did
or
a
whatever.
desk show.
Mm-hmm.
The same one
Oh.
as me. Yeah.
No, he was on Dennis Miller Live, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he did the other one too. But the job. His first one was later. That
Oh, is that
training.
right?
Yeah, that was his. Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
then
cool.
he did the other one.
That's cool. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
I think that's how it worked. He wouldn't go the other way. I
Well,
don't
Dennis
think
Miller, that was in like '92, so I think it
Oh,
might have
was
been
it?
the other
Oh,
way.
maybe
yeah.
he did. We'll have to
92,
ask him.
93.
All right.
It's so funny. Well, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being here
Thank
today.
you,
Thank you
guys.
for watching the show. Thank
Oh,
you
yeah.
for being such a great part of it. And this was a really fun
my God, it was my
Porsche
pleasure.
conversation with
Yeah.
you, obviously.
Talking Porsches.
Mrs. Ryan, what do we have tomorrow? Nothing. We're not here tomorrow. Friday, Breakfast Club. Love that.
Yeah.
Everybody, Newcomb's Ranch, 9 a.m. Good time. Not a writer's room. Don't care what you've heard. We all love each other. And then the weekend, there's some stuff. Oh, we've got the Steve McQueen Friends of Steve McQueen car show down at the Boys Republic on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I believe there's actually a banquet thing on Friday night as well for that. I think
Yeah.
we're doing that as well. So
Boys Republic. We've
Will the
been to
Mustang
that
be
one
there?
before.
it will, yeah. They've got the fancy, the Bullet, the original
Bullet,
Bullet,
yeah.
but I think there's some new reissue 2019, new version.
Oh, let's go in on
That
it.
Chad's got. It's 700 and something horsepower. It's an obnoxious thing. And Chad and Nicholas were driving it all over the place this
Oh,
weekend.
cool.
So. Anyway, I love you very much, Mrs. Ryan. We love you very much,
Oh
Joel
my gosh,
Madison.
it's a love fest. Thank you so much. This was great. This was really eye-opening and wonderful.
Same.
You're awesome, man. We love everybody at home. Please love one another. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.